This is topic 3 of the Introduction to Python, and in this topic we have two subtopics, and those subtopics are types, data types, and conditionals. So the first part, data types. What actually is a data type? So like a type of person, a data type, or simply a type, is an attribute which tells the computer, and in our case it tells Python, how to treat that data. Okay, so Python's aware of some different types of data and it treats them in different ways. And a way to think about this in the back of your mind is, if you had some words and some numbers, you can't really add those together. You treat them differently. Adding two words together is different from adding two numbers together. If you add two numbers together, you get a different number. If you add two words together, you just get two words together. So most programming languages support multiple different data types. And data types we can have are things like numbers, characters, and booleans. And a data type defines the operations that can be done to that data, the meaning of the data, and the way values of that data type are stored by the computer. So let's look at some Python specific data types now. So Python data types, the first ones that we need to know are quite simple. They are numeric types. So we have an integer, okay, the int type, and that's just a number, okay, a number. And then we have the float type, okay, and the float is just a number with a decimal point in it. Americans call a decimal point in a number a floating point, okay, so a number with a decimal point in Python is called a float, okay, a floating point number. It's just a number that's got a decimal after it, okay? Then we have text types. So strings of characters from 1 to as many characters is called a string. And the way we define a string is we put it in quotes. And then we have Boolean types. And a Boolean is just something that is either true or false, okay? So Boolean can either be true or can be false. And if you think about, we have these things in real life as well. We have, for example, without being too philosophical, we have light switches that are either on or off. We have questions like, that are yes or no answers. So a Boolean is similar to that. It's something that's true or false. So let's have a look at the string type now. The string type is abbreviated str in Python. Okay, so a string is called is str is what Python calls the type. They're amongst the most popular data types in Python, and we can create them by enclosing characters in quotes. Okay, Python treats single quotes the same as double quotes, and creating strings is as simple as assigning a value to a variable. So we jump over to our Python interpreter here. If I were to say my variable 1 is equal to, open up some quotes, is equal to hello, okay, and then I do print, okay, and we want to print my underscore variable 1, okay, and then close off these, okay, it prints back the result. Now we can also do, to show how Python understands that data has been treated, by adding another word here. We can do print, okay, and then we can put type, okay, and we just need to put brackets around that. And if we do that, it tells us, right, that Python believes that this is a string, okay? And that's what that means, str. And a string is just a string of characters enclosed in quotation marks here, okay? So we can have another variable. Let's grab another one, all right? If we do, okay, my variable 2, all right, and we put into my variable 2 the number 33, okay, and then we check what type that is, even though it's a number, because it was in quotes, it's treated as a string, okay? Now, let's make one more variable, okay, and let's make it my variable 3, okay, and let's take away these quotation marks, okay, and if we run our type check on it to print out the type, the data type, and we change that there to my variable 3, you'll see that this is now an integer, a number, because we didn't put it in quotes this time, okay? And final example, let's go my variable 4, okay, and this time we're going to make it 33.3. Okay, my variable 4 is 33.3, and hopefully, unless I've done something very silly, this should print out that it's the float type, okay? There we go, class float. And the reason it's float is because it has a decimal point in the middle. And as I said earlier, Americans call that a floating point number, okay? So the decimal point there means it's a float. So we got a float type, a number with a point in it. We've got an int type, which is just a number, but with no decimal point after it. And we have a string type. And the string is just something that's in quotes. And it can be anything. It can be numbers, or it can be a word. Although, generally, when we think of strings, we kind of think of words in quotes. Okay, so numeric types. In the demo there, I just gave us a little demonstration of some variables. So here we have my integer variable is 1, my integer variable 2 is 6, and then a couple of examples of float variables there. Okay. So the final data type was a bool. Okay, and the bool is either true or false. It's a logic test. So let's try something like 5, okay, is greater than 6. Okay, we know that 5 is not greater than 6. Okay, we know that 6 is more than 5. So if we run that, it says back false. Okay, that's false. So that is a bool. That's a Boolean test. Now let's do one that we know is true. Let's say 25 is greater than 24. Okay, so 25 is greater than 24. True. Okay, so that is a bool type there. Just something that's either true or false. Right, so that's just a basic introduction to different data types in Python. And there's some examples in the problem set we're going to do today. The next part we're going to look at today is conditionals. Okay, so now what actually is a conditional? And you know, why would we want to use one is the question. So I've put a little flowchart here, a little diagram. A conditional is something that performs a test to check if a condition is true or if it's false. Okay, so kind of like the Boolean type we were just talking about. A condition can actually run a test. So what will often happen if a computer program is running is you'll have the computer will read this line, then it will read this line, then it will read this line, then it will read this line, and it will just keep reading line by line, doing the interpretation of the instructions in that line. But sometimes we might want to say to the computer, hold on, stop. What I want you to do is I want you to stop and I want you to check something for me. Okay? Now, an example of that might be, we might be waiting until a number reaches 100 or something. So we might say, stop computer, is the number 100? If it's 100, stop running, stop the program. Okay? Or if it's not 100, keep going. Okay? So we have back here, all right, a kind of logical overview of this. So if you imagine the computer's mind, the computer's thoughts coming in here, and we have some condition, and usually when we have a decision that the computer has to make, it's written in a diamond shape like this. Now, if the condition is true, we're going to do something. But if the condition is false, we're going to do something else. Okay, and then we're going to get on with our lives and move on down here. Okay, so what's really good in computing and programming is to get names for things. Okay, so each of these areas has a name, all right, and the names are, okay, the predicate. So the predicate is what are we actually testing, all right, and that is shown over here in A. Okay, A here is the predicate. What is true or what is false? Okay, think of it as being in like a predicament. Okay, what can we predict here? What can we predicate? All right, what are we going to test? Then we have two choices. The consequent. Okay, what's the consequence if the predicate is true? And that way we head down B here. Okay, this way. True, do something here. Okay, and the other part is called the alternative. What do we do if A is false? We go to C over here. So we have the predicate, which is up here, true or false, it's A. Then we have the consequent. What if the test is true? What's the consequence of that predicate? And finally, we have the alternative over here. What's the alternative if the predicate turns out to be false? So those are the three main parts in the body of this operation. And what we can see now is, how do we actually go about building one of these in Python? So the simplest example of a conditional statement is we use this keyword if, okay? And what we're going to say to the computer is we're going to say, if something, then either do this or do this, okay? Either, if something's true, do this consequent here. If it's false, do the alternative. Okay, I'm going to show you how to write one of these in Python just now. Now, it's important that we put this colon after we put our condition. Okay, if we don't put the colon, all right, then Python doesn't understand that we're about to provide some true or false, some action to take if we go true or false. Okay, so let's grab a shell here. In fact, actually, let's grab a new Python script. Okay, so let's start off by defining some variables. So we're going to have, and I'll try and make up an example that's not like my underscore variable 1, my underscore variable 2 this time. Okay, so let's go oranges. Okay, and let's say we've got 5 oranges. Okay, now let's do apples. And let's say we've got 7 apples. Okay, and let's think of one more exciting. Let's go grapes. Okay, grapes are quite abundant, aren't they? You get quite a lot in a bunch. Let's say we got 12 grapes. Okay, it's a particularly exciting task, this. Now, let's say so what's going to happen is I'm going to go file and I'm going to go save, right? And it's going to ask me to give this a name. So I'm just going to call this fruit. Okay, now I don't have to put .py idle will do that for me. All right, so let's hit save. So I now have a program here called fruit.py. Okay, and at the moment, when I run this program, okay, I'm going to press F5 on my keyboard. Okay, so what's happened is the program has run. Okay, but all it's done is it's taken these three words, all right, and it's stored this value in the computer's memory associated with these three variable names here. Okay, so the program doesn't really output anything. All it does is it saves these three in the computer's memory. So let's do, okay, to check we're all working here, let's print oranges, okay? Oranges, okay, You'd think I would be able to spell oranges, you know, considering I've managed to get this far in life, you'd think I'd be able to spell the word oranges. Okay, let's press F5 and see what happens. Click OK. So down here, hopefully you can see that it's printed out the number 5, right? Because oranges is 5. Okay, let's just get going with this program and let's just print the other two out as well. And I'll use copy and paste so that you don't have to watch me making a mistake spelling the word apples. Okay, so let's run this, and this hopefully should print out these three values here. Let's do, okay, F5. Click OK. There we go. There's our three values printing out over there. Now, let's just say, okay, we don't want the computer to print these all out, okay? We want to do a test, okay? We want to create some sort of conditional here. So let's do if, okay, and let's do if oranges is greater than apples. And then the key and most important part is we do the colon symbol here. When we do the colon, we then need to press the return key. And you may notice, right, that this has automatically been indented. Python needs this white space, okay? It needs this white space here to understand that we're about to say if oranges is greater than apples, all right? And now that we've done the colon, press return, Python's now saying, okay, there's your predicate. You're predicating me, you're saying to me, if oranges is greater than apples, then what? What do you want me to do? And I'm going to say print, okay? And we're going to print out, we have more oranges. Okay? So let's comment these out just now, okay? And let's run this and see what happens. So it's good to run it just to check and see what happens. So let's press F5 and run that. Click OK. Okay, so nothing printed out. Okay, why did nothing print out? Nothing printed out because oranges is less than apples. So let me just flip this back round here. And if we run it, click OK. Here we go. We have more oranges, all right? Well, it should actually be we have less. All right, let's run that. Okay, click OK. So what do we have here? We have a predicate. Okay, we've created a predicate with if, and we're saying if this is less than this, print, we have less oranges. Okay, now what we have there is we have a predicate and we have a consequent. Okay, the consequent there. But what we need now is, now the good thing about Python is you don't have to have an alternative. Python will just accept. If there's no alternative, just okay, accept it. That's fine. There's no, you can just have a consequent. Okay, if something's something, do something. Otherwise, move on. All right, but we can give Python an alternative. Okay, so let's go back to if oranges is greater than apples. Okay, my previous problem there. Okay, if oranges is greater than apples, we're going to print we have more oranges. Let's run that, and nothing should print out. Okay, because we don't have more oranges. Great. Now, let's provide the alternative to this condition. Okay, let's provide the alternative. So we're saying if this is true, print this, print the consequent. Okay, but what do we do if it's false? At the moment, Python will just move on. It'll just get on with life because we've not given it an alternative. Well, let's give it alternative. So you press return, and to get the alternative, we go back to the start of the line to be at the same level as if, the same level of indentation as if. And let's do else, okay? And we use our magic colon as well and press return. And that's going to get us to the same level of indentation as this P here, okay, for print. So what we're going to do, we're going to print, all right? And we're going to print out, I would say we have more apples, okay? We have more apples, okay? So this, if oranges is greater than apples, print, we have more oranges, else print, we have more apples. Now, I know that this isn't taken into consideration. What if we have the same amount of both? We can worry about that another time. Let's just live with the fact that oranges is 5 and apples is 7. Let's run this, okay? Run, click OK. Great. So it says we have more apples. Brilliant. So what we've done is we've got the computer to test these two values, and if it's true, do the consequent, else do the alternative. Now let's just flip these values around. Let's say we have 25 oranges. Now let's run the program again with F5. Click OK. And now it says we have more oranges because oranges are greater than apples. Okay, so hopefully that's a good, simple demonstration of oranges and apples. And just remember, we have to put the colon and we have to press return, and try and keep this in your mind. What happens if it's true? What happens if it's false? Here's an example conditional to test if a number is greater. So we have two integers. We have A and we have B. And if B is greater than A, we're going to print out, just like in my oranges and apples example, and we've got an alternative down here. And just remember that these are the same indentation and these are the same indentation. Hopefully that's straightforward. Here is an example where I'm doing some temperature, okay? So if temperature equals 18, now this is never going to happen in Scotland, is it? When's it ever going to be 18 degrees in Scotland? Never. Maybe one day a year in July, okay? Oh, I'm being silly, okay? We do get some days where it's warm, but the majority of the time it's very windy and freezing. So if the temperature is greater than 20, which would be a miracle in Scotland, print wear shorts. Now, I've just put this to highlight this to you again. It's very important that this is indented for Python, so it knows after here that you're about to tell it what to do if the temperature is greater than 20. Okay, and here's the alternative here. Print cold out, do not wear shorts. Okay, so there's an if-else statement. A conditional with a predicate if temperature is greater than 20, a consequent, and an alternative. So that is the two topics for today. I'll pause the recording now and locate the problem set and just see if anyone wants to ask any questions about any of that. I've got you all on mute, so let me just allow you to unmute yourself if anybody wants to be really brave and ask a question or type it into the chat. Well, meanwhile, I'll get this problem set available. I take it no one wants to ask a question. Okay, must have been very clear, that one. Right, so let's do edit, show. I'm actually quite pleased with that PowerPoint there. Can you use more than one else? You can, actually, yes. You can do elif. I wasn't going to show you that today. I was going to show you that next week. But yes, you can have else. You can have elif. Let me do delete. And let's do... So this week's homework is problem set 3. Edit the file, answer the questions, upload them. So let me just make this... First of all, let's get this downloaded. Download PDF document. Save, and let me put this onto the middle. So that was data types and conditionals. Hopefully that's quite straightforward for everyone. I don't want anyone to struggle with this, okay? I want this to be an easy subject. So don't think that this is really hard or something. You can do if ... It's empty. Oh, hold on. I'm just uploading it just now. Give me a little second. So at the moment you won't be able to see it because I haven't done show topic. So let's do show. Now, let's do problem set 3. I bet this isn't problem set 3. No, it's not problem set 3. Of course it's not. Why would it be problem set 3? That would be me being organized, wouldn't it? Okay, cool. This looks fun. Let's download this and let's save and let's open this with a text editor. We'll go for Atom. File, open file, downloads, problem set 3. All right, good stuff. It would help if I actually uploaded it to the Moodle, but I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to fix a couple of typos in it. So I'll just I'll just give it to you when I've got the final version ready. Okay, so let's move this. Okay, let's do this here. Make this a bit bigger. You know what? I've already spotted a mistake. Let's do that because that text was just way too. See this line here? It shouldn't go past that line. Okay, so let's go move that there and let's do that. All right. Let's make this nice and big as well so we can see it properly. Okay, let's do presenter view and let's go. All right, so week 3's homework is to go to, that's better. All right, so week 3's homework is to go to Moodle and download problemset3.py, edit the file to answer the questions, and then upload your completed Python script. Now, along with that, okay, the homework as well is on the Moodle, and this week, the suggested reading, okay, is 3.1.1 and 3.1.3 in the Cisco Introduction to Python PCAP course, okay? And problem set 3 this week, we'll be looking at some of the topics that we looked at. So this one, we'll just put our name here, our student number, and then edit these two. Then save this Python script and run it on your own computer, okay? So if we were to do file, if we were to go into idle, for example, here, we could do file, open, and then we could navigate to problem set 3. Okay, so let's find problem set 3, click open. All right, and problem set 3 will open up in idle like this. And if we press F5, all right, it'll run and we have some stuff coming out. But this probably won't make sense till we actually read what's in the problem set. So question 1 is edit the following Python code to reveal the type of each of the examples. Then edit the print statement to print out the type. So in this one, right, we have, so edit the following Python code to reveal the type of each of the examples. So we have test score and we have type and, oh, okay, I see. So we have the type of test score is, so what I want you to do is I want you to add, okay, the type in here. All right. And I'll leave it up to you how to go about doing that. Now, the bad way to do it would be to just write in here int, all right, and put it in code. Don't do that, okay? So I'll give you a little hint, right? See this type test score? Technically, we could create another variable called type, okay, underscore test score, okay, equals, all right, and we could put type test score there, all right. Let's just pop that back in there as well. Then we could put a comma, all right, and we could actually print out the test score type in there. That would be a neat way of doing it. Okay, I'll undo that just now. It's up to you though, how you want to approach that. Right, so basically if you can do 1.1, you can get on and do the next 4, okay, the next 5. So question 2 is, have a look at this example if statement. Can you create a second if statement that prints water is boiling if the temperature is above 100 degrees? Okay, so I'll just pop this in quotes to make it a bit clearer. So, right, so let's go. Question 2, okay, have a look at the example if statement. So from line 44 to 46 here. Now, can you create a second one that prints water is boiling if the temperature is above 100 degrees? Okay, so at the moment we have an example I've given you with height, okay? If your height is greater than 200, we're doing centimeters here, not feet, okay? Otherwise you'd be a giant. So I want you to take this code and I want you to adapt that down here to create a new if statement that says if water is above 100 degrees or above 100, say the water is boiling. Okay, that's question 2. Question 3, create an if-else statement that checks if a number is more than 100. If it's more than 100, print out, this is more than 100. If it's less than 100, print, this is less than 100. And add that here. And then the last part today is create, and okay, the last part today is question 4, create an if-else statement that, oh, got another typo, that checks if a word is more than 5 characters. If it is, print, this is more than 5 letters. If it is not, print out how many letters it actually is. Okay, and I've given you some examples here. So we've got a word, and here's our example word here. It's actually the word example. And I've shown you how to do length here. So what I want you to do is I want you to create an if-else statement down here that will check word, okay? And if it's more than 5 letters, it will print out, this is more than 5 letters. And if it's less than 5 letters, it'll print out the length. Okay, so you can do that with if else down here. And what you should be able to do is change word to, you know, cat, and then run your program and it should work. Okay, and let's make it more than 5 letters. Let's do hello, hello there. Okay, and that should still work. So that is problem set 3, and that is available on